Chosen ones. Imagine entering a room so silently that your very presence commands attention, not because of rank, but because your spirit carries authority. This isn't fantasy. It's the real spiritual weight that comes from divine training. Throughout history, certain individuals have radiated a calm yet powerful energy that disrupts chaos and restores order. These are people molded by spiritual discipline, not external recognition. What makes them different is their alignment with divine intelligence, a level of awareness and composure that surpasses ordinary understanding. Science even supports this notion. Studies in neuropsychology show that people who practice mindfulness and deep self-awareness display a heightened activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for focus, decision-making, and emotional control. That's why, when everyone else panics, the chosen one remains still. Their mind is already trained for pressure. Their spirit has been through unseen battles long before the moment arrived. Picture a man with no military background who finds himself in chaos, people screaming, fear in the air. Yet he stands firm, composed, decisive. His words bring order. His actions inspire trust. Later, trained soldiers ask, "Who gave you authority?" But he smiles, knowing his training came from the highest commander. This isn't arrogance, it's awareness. Divine preparation often looks like solitude, loss, endurance, and relentless self-control. These experiences sharpen your instincts and teach you to discern without speaking. It's why chosen ones often feel misunderstood. Their spirit recognizes threats long before others do. When God trains you, discipline becomes instinct, and composure becomes sacred. You read energy like a map because you've learned to listen with your soul, not your senses. Even science acknowledges that human intuition can detect micro-expressions and energy shifts subconsciously within milliseconds, a phenomenon known as thin slicing. Spiritually, this manifests as discernment. So if people tell you that you act like a soldier without a uniform, understand this. You've been through divine boot camp. Heaven sharpened your instincts, tested your patience, and built a commander's spirit within you. The world may not see your training, but your presence reveals it. Stick around because we're about to explore the 7 undeniable reasons your spiritual discipline shakes even the strongest minds, and why your silent authority isn't a mystery. It's a mission. Point 1. You've been spiritually trained since birth. Chosen one, let's be honest. Your life never felt like a casual stroll through a park. It was more like boot camp for the soul. You didn't need a uniform, a commander, or a whistle to tell you to toughen up. Life itself was your drill instructor, and every heartbreak, every betrayal, and every night you cried yourself to sleep was a lesson designed to fortify your spirit. While others were learning to walk in the sunshine, you were learning to see in the dark. That's what separates you. The world thought it was breaking you, but it was actually building you into a spiritual warrior, trained not by men, but by divine hands. Your training wasn't loud or public, it was sacred and silent. Think about it. Soldiers go through physical drills, memorizing commands and mastering control over their bodies. You, however, were taught how to control your emotions when chaos surrounded you. That's not easy. Emotional resilience is one of the hardest forms of strength a human can develop, and you mastered it in silence. Psychologists say people who endure repeated adversity without support often develop post-traumatic growth, a phenomenon where trauma becomes a catalyst for profound transformation. You didn't just survive your pain, you alchemized it into wisdom. You became emotionally intelligent. not through books or lectures, but through walking through your own fire. You learn discipline differently too. The world's discipline says, wake up early, follow orders, stay in line. But your discipline came from endurance, the ability to keep faith when everything seemed lost. When life knocked you down 10 times, you stood up 11. You learned how to wait when others rushed, how to trust divine timing when logic screamed otherwise. Spiritual discipline, unlike military discipline, isn't about control. It's about surrender. And that surrender takes far more courage than people realize. It's easy to fight what you can see. It's harder to battle the unseen storms within your soul. Leadership was another silent gift, shaped by your loneliness. When no one came to your rescue, you became your own hero. That's the chosen path, to walk alone until you realize you were never truly alone. Isolation taught you observation. It made you hyper-aware of energy, of motives, of truth. You don't follow crowds because your spirit has been trained to lead by example, not by command. You can't fake authenticity. And that's why people sense something official about you, even when you say nothing. It's not arrogance. It's the quiet confidence of someone who's already been through their own wars and come out spiritually decorated. Every rejection you faced refined your discernment. Every failure sharpened your focus. Every heartbreak opened a new level of compassion. Where others saw punishment, you saw preparation. And that's the difference between the chosen and the ordinary. The chosen one doesn't crumble under pressure. They evolve through it. Even scientists agree that adversity rewires the brain, strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making. So, yes, even neurologically, you were being trained to respond with wisdom instead of panic. You're living proof that the spirit, like a muscle, grows stronger with resistance. So when people look at you and can't quite explain what it is about your presence, why you carry an air of quiet authority, why your eyes hold both peace and power, it's because they're sensing that spiritual training. You've been through your own invisible academy of endurance, patience, and purpose. Life didn't give you medals or certificates, but it gave you something far greater, divine credibility. You've been through something, and you survived, not just to exist, but to lead others who are still in their own trenches, because that's what a true chosen one does. They turn their scars into maps for others to find their way home. Point 2. Your intuition works like radar. You sense danger before it arrives. You pick up on energy shifts instantly. That's not luck, that's spiritual radar. The elite call it situational awareness. Heaven calls it discernment. Chosen ones, this isn't something you train for. It's something your spirit remembers. You've been equipped with divine instincts that work like an invisible force field. While most people only see with their eyes, you see with your spirit. You notice the subtle flicker in someone's tone, the slight shift in a room's energy, and the sudden chill that tells you something's off. It's not paranoia, it's divine intelligence at work. You don't just walk into a room, you scan it energetically. Your subconscious is constantly decoding vibration and frequency, translating them into intuition. You can feel when someone's pretending to smile while hiding envy. You can sense when a conversation is about to turn manipulative. Before danger even knocks, you've already locked the door spiritually. That's how powerful your internal radar is. What scientists call the limbic system, or the gut-brain axis. The spiritual world recognizes as divine discernment. Biologically, your body is wired to pick up micro signals, tiny cues in body language, tone, and energy that most people overlook. But what makes the chosen ones different is how these signals fuse with their spiritual awareness. You don't just perceive data, you receive downloads. You interpret emotional and energetic information from realms most can't access. It's like your spirit has Wi-Fi directly connected to God's signal. That's why so many people find you intimidating even when you're silent. You see through people, not just at them. You notice patterns others dismiss as coincidence. Your presence disrupts illusions because your energy is truth-centered. When people lie to you, they can feel that you already know. When someone with hidden motives enters your space, your spirit reacts before your mind does. That's discernment, your soul's defense system. You might not realize it, but this awareness protects you from spiritual ambush. You dodge betrayals before they happen, avoid connections that would have drained you, and step back right before chaos unfolds. That's not luck, that's alignment. Heaven has fine-tuned your sensitivity for survival. Every tingle of discomfort, every inner nudge to leave now is divine communication. It's also why solitude feels like safety to you. Crowded rooms can feel overwhelming because you don't just hear words, you feel frequencies. Every emotion, every hidden agenda, and every unspoken tension hits you like waves. That's why your peace is sacred. It's not antisocial behavior, it's energetic preservation. And while others may mock you for being too sensitive or too suspicious, discernment is your greatest spiritual weapon. Throughout history, prophets, mystics, and chosen vessels operated with heightened perception. They could sense deception in kings, danger in armies, and purity in strangers. You carry that same gift. It's ancestral, divine, and deeply intentional. But here's the twist. Discernment isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. You're not meant to expose everyone's darkness. You're meant to avoid it. When you feel someone's energy doesn't match their words, that's your spirit saying, don't align here. When you sense unease in a place that looks fine on the surface, that's heaven whispering, step away. The gift protects your mission. So never second guess that instinct. When your spirit speaks, it's not anxiety, it's foresight. Discernment is how God keeps his chosen hidden from traps dressed as opportunities. You're not just aware, you are awake. Your intuition operates on classified levels because your purpose requires advanced protection. You don't read minds, you read energy. And in a world full of masks, that's a supernatural advantage. Point 3, you carry command energy. Even without authority, people naturally follow your lead. That's not luck, and it's not manipulation. It's spiritual magnetism. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts. People feel a calm they can't explain, a sense of structure in your presence. It's not loud or forceful, it's quiet power. This is what many spiritual teachers refer to as command energy. It's the same unseen authority that great leaders, prophets, and wise mentors carry. The energy that makes others instinctively listen without being told to. You don't demand respect. Your spirit commands it. You see, true leadership doesn't come from titles, money, or a platform. It comes from alignment. When you're aligned with your higher self, when you walk in divine order, people feel it. It's in your tone, your posture, and your silence. Even when you're still, your energy speaks. And that's what makes you different, chosen one. You don't have to prove who you are. The frequency of your spirit already testifies for you. Think about how military leaders earn respect, not just through their position, but through their presence. There's something steady in their eyes, something unshakable in their stance. It's calm dominance. You carry that same energy, but on a spiritual level. When others panic, you analyze. When others yell, you observe. When others lose direction, you find clarity. And because of that, people trust your judgment, even if they can't explain why. They can sense you're tapped into something higher, something beyond the physical. Ever notice that when chaos hits, people look at you, not because you asked to be in charge, but because their spirit recognizes yours? That's divine leadership. It's the anointing of those chosen to bring light where there's confusion. When you speak, your words cut through the noise. When you move, you create direction. You might think you're just trying to help or calm things down, but what's really happening is your divine authority activating. Your anointing carries the frequency of order. In spiritual terms, this frequency is the vibration of divine structure, the same order God used when he spoke light into existence. Genesis says, "Let there be light," and immediately chaos submits. That's what happens when you speak from your higher self. Confusion dissolves because darkness can't argue with light. And when you carry that light within you, you naturally become a stabilizer in unstable environments. This is why people confide in you, seek your advice, or look for your approval, even when they outrank you in worldly terms. Their soul knows, your soul recognizes truth. Your discernment, your calmness, your ability to stay centered. It's not just emotional intelligence, it's spiritual intelligence. It's leadership born from divine connection. You don't react, you respond. You don't control, you command. There's a difference. Control forces, command flows. And yet this kind of presence can make others uneasy. Some might mistake your calmness for arrogance or detachment, not realizing it's self-mastery. You've learned that true power doesn't shout, it whispers. The ones who walk with divine authority don't need to dominate. Their energy naturally sets things in order. And when God anoints someone for leadership, he also gives them the grace to carry that responsibility without ego. That's you. You carry divine composure in a world addicted to chaos. So don't shrink from your power or question why people turn to you when things fall apart. It's not random, it's written. You were chosen to bring balance where there's disorder, to lead not with control, but with divine clarity. You are the calm in the storm, the light in confusion, and the silent strength that makes others stand taller just by standing next to you. Your leadership doesn't come from the world, it comes from God. And that's why, even without authority, people follow your lead. Point 4, you thrive under pressure. When others panic, you get still. When things fall apart, you rise. Chosen ones, this isn't just emotional control, it's divine training. Your spirit has been forged through countless storms, and every trial has taught you that chaos is not your enemy, but your teacher. While most people lose their clarity in crisis, your mind becomes sharper, quieter, and laser-focused. That stillness isn't indifference, it's a spiritual warfare reflex. The universe has programmed you to stay calm when the world shakes, because your role isn't to be consumed by the storm, it's to command it. You don't react impulsively because you understand something most don't. Movement without direction is just noise. And chosen ones don't make noise, they make impact. See, most people operate purely from survival instincts. When fear hits, the human brain releases cortisol and adrenaline, triggering the fight or flight response. Logic fades and emotion takes over. But you've rewired that. Through pain, loss, and deep spiritual awakening, you've built an inner system that filters fear through faith. Instead of panic, you process. Instead of reacting, you reflect. It's not that you don't feel fear, you just refuse to let it dictate your decisions. That's what makes you a mystery to many. They can't comprehend how you remain calm while the world burns, how you keep your composure when everything's collapsing. But you know that God speaks loudest in silence. And when you get still, you hear divine instructions others are too frantic to receive. You've learned to trust divine timing, even when the clock seems to mock you. You know that rushing God's plan is like forcing a flower to bloom before its season. It destroys the beauty meant to unfold naturally. While others are screaming, "Do something," you wait, discern, and then strike at the right moment. That patience, that spiritual calculation, is what makes your presence unsettling to those who thrive on chaos. You move with intention, not impulse. Every step you take has purpose. And that's why even trained professionals, leaders, strategists, manipulators, find themselves puzzled by your control. They can't read you, they can't rush you, and they can't provoke you. Your calmness exposes their instability. Psychologically, this is mastery of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that governs decision-making and rational thought. Spiritually, it's alignment with divine will. When you're walking in that frequency, your intuition becomes your compass. You sense when to act and when to stay still, when to speak and when silence itself is the loudest answer. And every time you trust that intuition, miracles follow. You've noticed it. Those coincidences that appear right after your patience pays off. That's not luck, chosen one. That's divine synchronization. You are tuned to the rhythm of heaven's timing. And here's the thing. Your stillness is a weapon. In warfare, silence is power. The greatest warriors don't announce their moves. They calculate them. You've learned that by doing less in chaos, you actually accomplish more. You've seen what happens when others rush, mistakes, regret, panic. But you've also witnessed the blessings that come from restraint. The longer you walk this path, the more you realize that stillness isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's a signal that you've evolved beyond reaction into revelation. So when the next storm comes and the noise of the world rises again, remember, your calm isn't detachment. It's divine discipline. You are not here to panic, you are here to perceive. You are not here to rush, you are here to receive. And when the timing is right, you'll move, not out of fear, but out of divine precision. That's what sets the chosen ones apart. While the world drowns in noise, you master the art of stillness. And in that silence, you win wars unseen. Point 5, your presence brings order. Chosen one, your presence isn't just physical, it's spiritual gravity. You walk into a room and the energy rearranges itself around you. It's subtle but undeniable. Conversations slow down, laughter becomes quieter, and eyes follow you without understanding why. Some feel at peace around you, others strangely tense. That's not arrogance or intimidation, it's alignment. When your soul operates in divine order, everything out of order trembles. You don't need to speak to command respect. Your frequency speaks for you. What people sense in your presence is spiritual authority, not dominance. Authority that comes from walking with integrity, humility, and truth. It's written all over your aura. Scientists might call it bioelectromagnetic resonance, the measurable field that radiates from every living being. But in spiritual language, that's your anointing. When you live in obedience to your calling, your energy emits coherence, peace, strength, and divine order. And when incoherent energies, chaos, deceit, or ego enter that same space, they either rise to match your vibration or retreat. This is why certain people suddenly grow silent when you appear. It's not you they're reacting to. It's the mirror your presence holds up to their soul. You see, energy doesn't lie. You can fake a smile, but you can't fake frequency. The universe is vibration, and the chosen ones carry the vibration of truth. That's why people sense something different about you even before you speak. They feel your inner stillness, that peace, be still, energy that dissolves tension. It's the same power Christ carried, calming storms not just in nature but in people. When your soul mirrors divine peace, everything chaotic instinctively bows to that vibration. But here's what makes it fascinating. Your energy doesn't just calm spaces, it corrects them. It exposes what's fake, amplifies what's real, and unsettles anything pretending to be light. That's why your presence is polarizing. Some are drawn to it, craving the peace you carry. Others resist it, fearing what it might reveal about them. You are, without trying, a spiritual detector. Your aura translates hidden intentions before words are spoken. People may not consciously know why they feel uneasy, but their spirit recognizes hierarchy. Your light carries rank, not worldly rank, spiritual rank. That's the kind that can't be bought, taught, or faked. It's earned through endurance, obedience, and purification. Chosen one goes through intense refinement, because divine authority must be matched with divine humility. You were stripped, isolated, and misunderstood not to punish you, but to cleanse you of ego, so your power wouldn't corrupt. Every trial, every betrayal, every season of loneliness was spiritual training. The pain humbled your flesh, so your spirit could rise. That's why now, when you enter a space, heaven enters with you. Angels align, darkness disperses, and the room feels different, because it is different. You carry light codes that change atmospheres. So when you notice people shifting around you, some intimidated, others inspired, don't take it personally. You're not meant to blend in. You're meant to balance the spiritual ecosystem wherever you go. You're a walking reminder that truth still exists, that peace is possible, and that divine order reigns even in chaos. Your energy doesn't shout, it whispers with authority. And the world, whether it admits it or not, feels safer, clearer, and more awake when you're near. That's not coincidence. It's calling. Your light carries rank, and your presence is proof that God still walks this earth through chosen vessels like you. Point 6, your battles were never random. Every trial you faced wasn't random, it was divine strategy. Each heartbreak, betrayal, and silent spiritual attack wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You were being refined, not ruined. While others were busy chasing comfort, you were being conditioned in the furnace of endurance and faith. Every sleepless night, every tear, and every why me moment was your soul's boot camp. God was not trying to destroy you. He was sculpting you into someone unstoppable, someone who could walk through storms without drowning, who could be surrounded by darkness and still radiate light. You see, when the military trains soldiers, they push them to their limits. They strip away weakness so that only strength remains. But when God trains his chosen ones, he does the same, just on a spiritual level. He doesn't test your body, he tests your spirit. He measures your integrity when no one's watching, your humility when no one's clapping, and your faith when everything collapses. The world never saw your exams, but heaven did. You passed tests that would have broken most people. And that's why your anointing carries a quiet power that can't be faked or fabricated. That unseen training, it made you lethal in light. It's why your presence now unsettles the same people who once underestimated you. They can't quite explain it, but they feel it. You carry divine authority, born not from privilege or popularity, but from pain that purified you. There's a rare kind of strength in those who have suffered and still remained kind. It's the strength of a soul that's met the darkness and didn't bow to it. And that's you. Psychologists talk about post-traumatic growth, how some people don't just recover from adversity, but actually evolve into higher versions of themselves because of it. That's exactly what's happened to you, but on a divine scale. Your suffering rewired your spirit. It made you disciplined, discerning, and dangerous to the darkness. You learned emotional self-control in the battlefield of heartbreak. You learned to pray instead of panic. You learned that silence is not weakness, it's strategy. You learned that God doesn't need to explain every storm, because sometimes the lesson is in trusting his silence. Now the same people who laughed at you are watching from a distance, whispering, how are they still standing? But the truth is, you're not just standing, you're commanding. You command peace in chaos, faith in fear, and purpose in pain. You no longer move from emotion, you move from discernment. You've mastered the art of spiritual endurance, and that makes you indestructible in a world that breaks easily. The beauty of divine training is that it equips you for battles most can't even see. While others are fighting for status, you're fighting for souls. While they seek applause, you seek alignment. You've learned to lead from within, to move in purpose quietly, strategically, and powerfully. That's what happens when God handpicks someone for a higher calling. They don't need validation. They become validation. So no, you weren't punished, you were prepared. Every loss, every rejection, every lonely night was spiritual conditioning. You were being built in the shadows so you could shine in divine timing. And now when the enemy looks at you, they don't see the same person they once tried to destroy. They see a warrior forged in holy fire. You're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving with sacred strength. You're not just standing, you're commanding, radiating the power of someone who's been through hell and still came out glowing. Point 7. Your purpose is bigger than you know. Chosen one, you weren't given this level of awareness just to survive. You were given it to lead. The weight you've carried wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every silent season, every betrayal, every moment you questioned your purpose, those weren't coincidences. They were divine calibrations, shaping you into someone the world wouldn't see coming. You were being positioned quietly for something monumental, something only a soul with your level of endurance could handle. That's why your training was so brutal. That's why you often felt alone. God isolates before he elevates. And you, chosen one, were never meant to blend in. You were meant to break patterns. Heaven doesn't waste resources. Divine energy is too sacred to be poured into empty vessels. You've been chosen because you could withstand the refining fire without losing your heart. Think about it. Gold is not formed in comfort. It's purified through heat. Likewise, your struggles weren't random. They were designed to burn away everything false, leaving only your authentic power. You were shaped for missions that require precision, restraint, and courage. 3 qualities rarely found together in a single soul. You see, anyone can act from impulse, but it takes divine discipline to move with purpose, especially when you're carrying light in a world addicted to darkness. There's something sacred about divine timing. It moves slower than the ego would like, but it arrives faster than the world expects. That's where you are now, in that quiet in-between space, before the unveiling. The world doesn't know it yet, but the shift is already happening. People are starting to sense it in your energy. Some may be drawn to you for no reason they can explain. Others may suddenly distance themselves. That's spiritual mathematics. When your vibration changes, the equation of your life rearranges. And when it does, don't be surprised if you notice the elite, the powerful, or even the so-called untouchables acting differently around you. They can't quite put their finger on it, but your presence carries a frequency that disturbs the false order. You're not here to worship the system, you're here to expose it, to remind humanity that truth doesn't come from power, it is power. People may be shocked, the elite may be confused, but your spirit knows this was always the plan. You were hidden for a reason. God doesn't reveal his strongest warriors until the battlefield is ready. You were trained in silence, so your arrival would make no noise. Your awareness, this deep, intuitive knowing that sees through illusions, is your weapon. In a world drowning in distraction, you've been equipped to bring clarity. In an age where truth is twisted for profit, your voice will cut through like thunder. But understand this, the greater your purpose, the greater the pressure. Every attack you faced was proof of your potential. Darkness doesn't fight what doesn't threaten it. So when you look back on the pain, the rejection, the endless nights where you felt unseen, see it now for what it was, divine strategy. You were never abandoned, only being adjusted. The universe was aligning you with your highest timeline. You've been called to lead, not from a throne of arrogance, but from a place of spiritual authority. You'll lead with compassion, yet carry an unshakable strength that reminds others of who they are. And when the world finally sees what you've become, they'll call it an overnight success. But you'll know it was years of sacred struggle, secret battles, and divine endurance. You were chosen long before the world ever knew your name, and now it's your time, not to prove yourself, but to be yourself. Because the truth is, chosen one, the world doesn't need another leader, it needs you. Chosen. Ones, they call it illegal, because they don't understand divine rank. You don't need medals or orders, you carry an eternal badge of purpose. God's hand on your life outranks any earthly system. So when people question your strength, your calm, or your timing, just smile. You're not here to prove power. You are power. Keep walking in humility, obedience, and light. Your mission is unfolding exactly as it should. And remember this, when you move with divine strategy, even the strongest armies must pause and take notice. Stay awake, stay armored in faith, and never forget, heaven has already stamped your orders, chosen one.